You using the whole fist, Doc?
I'm telling you straight. It's my way or the highway. So anybody wants to walk, do it now.
Wow.
Here I am like an idiot.
Brett Kavanaugh.
Hanzo.
Cheese snatch.
A chat with you and somehow death loses its sting.
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
Shut up and never say anything again as long as you live.
Michigan gave us Motang.
He thinks I made it up.
Unbelievable.
That is a launch design point.
All right, hit that like, everybody. I'm almost up. Whoa, that was loud. We're live on Substack. We're live on Instagram. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Rumble. That should be plenty. All right, give me a second, and we're gonna. Oh my God, the amount of crap today. Oh my God. Also, if you're a maggot in the chat, please give a thumbs down and plan on writing a bunch of stuff in defense of Elon Musk today, because you're going to need, he needs a lot of ass cover, and your mouth will do just fine. Okay, there it is. Now Instagram's up. Damn. Takes you long enough. At least Facebook's working again, right? Let me see you in the chat. If you're in the chat and Facebook's actually working, let me know. Say hi. Give me a frown emoji. That really helps. There they are. There they are. let's get started. Am I here? I am here. Is that button working? No, it's not. I'll have to rewire it later. There's always something. There's always something. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. It's HalSparks Megaworldwide. I'm HalSparks, and I will be HalSparksing the rest of the evening in a similar way, but in a shorter form that Cory Booker is bookering them, Dano, all over the floor of the Senate right now. I am very excited for him to, during the presidency of Trump, hold on, let me see if I can do this right now. Hold on. He can take questions from people during his filibuster, so he can take a sip of water, I think. So right now, yeah, he's
to
answering
push
questions.
back, to fight
We'll jump
against
straight
this
to it.
administration's lawlessness. And in fact, a reporter asked me today, do you think this is a good use by Senator Booker of his time to be on the floor
He wants to go
do
24
this? And I
hours.
said, anytime, any of us.
I don't know if you guys heard that, but he said, I want to go at least 25 hours, which would beat Strom Thurmond's record. And I got to say, the beauty of this, and let's get he can take questions from people so he can rest his voice. That's a very powerful picture on his behalf. I would say, here's a good one. Yeah, this is a good one. This is how we all feel when Trump does shit. I think Cory Booker is all of us right now with this image. The fuck, right? So Cory Booker, the beating Strom Thurmond, on a deathbed repentant racist, allegedly, who filibustered against the Civil Rights Act for 24 hours and 19 minutes. His record to be beaten by a senator of color during the Trump administration, or sorry, I beg your pardon, the Musk administration, has a special poetry to it. Wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you say that while Trump is president of the United States, second to the monarch, he's prime minister to King Musk in this regard, I suppose, because what are we all going to pretend that what they're doing is in line with democracy and a presidency, as opposed to just like tacit oligarchy, authoritarianism, fascism, or monarchy? I mean, come on. Okay, I don't want to split hairs about this. If I accidentally say president, it's because I'm still writing Biden on my checks. So this is a particularly beautiful thing for Cory Booker to do under Trump, because the MAGA world will be very upset that the record held by the white guy who was fighting against everybody who's not white will be broken by Cory Booker. And watching that record go down, yeah. So hit that like if you're here for my sort of marathon against Trump as well, and to support Cory Booker. And Cory deserves the New Jersey special, Taylor ham, egg, and cheese on hard roll. Absolutely. I think he's, by the way, many people have been saying this is democracy brought to you by Depends. I agree. I think hey, if astronauts and weird astronaut murderer ladies going to drive across the country to kill their rival and drive back in a time that would allow them to pretend they had an alibi, can wear adult diapers, I say more power to them. I mean, I was sort of hoping for a flask catheter setup like Burt Reynolds had in I think it wasn't The End, was it? It was The Man Who Loved Women. I forget which one it was, where the dripping could be heard over the mic in the auditorium they were in, because you're not allowed to pee during Est. So it was a joke about that, right? But however he does it, nobody cares. I swear to God. Honestly, I feel like it's 2025. If you have an astronaut butt suction machine attached to yourself and it's whirring the whole fucking time you're up there, sorry guys, that's what it takes. That's a hero for democracy. Now, I have no evidence that he's wearing Depends. We actually have more evidence that Trump does, because he sometimes wears them and his pants backwards when they're full. Fuck. Just a thought. Someday, you ever find yourself And I'm sure we all go, "What? Why are these thoughts in my head?" Saith Cory Booker. And where is he right now? Let's go to this is May Hirono. She's still speaking to him.
Has been or what they've done. Trump has launched an all-out assault on our federal workforce. He attempted to fire tens of thousands.
So
he
he has
actually
to-
fired them.
He has to stay there while they talk, even though other people can talk to give him a rest. And
Using a metric called the primary deficit, they are saying Trump had the third biggest primary deficit growth, 5.2% of GDP. He's our biggest debt man. Deficits have ballooned under this president because
bless
of his tax scam, of his
a
lies
heavily
about his
beating
tax
heart
bill
right
in
now.
2017, none of which came true. It didn't pay for itself. It didn't close the deficits. It blew up our deficits. The benefits didn't go to working people. The benefits, as it says, over 90% would go to wealthier Americans and corporations.
That's right.
Even some Republicans have been calling out the hypocrisy. One of our colleagues, Rand Paul, in 2018, I can't, in all honesty, Rand Paul says, in all good faith, just look the other way because my party is now complicit in these deficits.
So this is he'll keep talking. I'm sure we'll do a highlight reel at some point. But he's gonna do it. Seriously, he's going for it. And we all know he is going to hit that 25-hour mark, beat Strom Thurmond's record by, more than an hour. I think the goal should be like 25 hours and 19 minutes before he even thinks about stopping, because he beats it by a whole hour. Also, he's already beaten it technically because Strom Thurmond got to eat and he got to take like a lunch break and go for a rather prolonged shit. So he could eat in the bathroom and hide stuff. This has just been nonstop. So he's already beaten it. He has already won. But the rules on the floor being different now than they were then, he's still, he will still beat it even on the measure, $1968 versus now, or $1964 versus now, right? So awesome. So like a huge round of applause. Throw some clap emojis, if you will, if you have the capacity for that in the chat room for Cory Booker. Let me put him on the screen while it happens. There he is. Because this is how you do it. This is how you do it. And you know what would be kind of magic? You know what would be really kind of magic? And I'm not telling them how to do their business at this point, but there's nothing stopping another Democrat from tag team filibustering under the pretense, I suppose, that they could vote, rise on a vote for cloture. But first, I would like to make remarks, and then maybe they, to keep them from doing recess appointments. Look at you guys, wonderful. Hold on, let me throw in the chat room so everybody can see the applause for Cory Booker in this. You know how they keep the Senate open to stop recess appointments a lot of time? It would be kind of magnificent if the Democrats just found a similar way to just filibuster until the midterms. Just like as they try to change the rules and all that kind of stuff, just keep standing there, set up somebody else for another filibuster. And the minute they have an amendment situation or anything where they open business to further what Trump is going to do, just filibuster it. Just plan on. And everybody, by the way, I would like to remind everybody that as we're applauding Cory Booker for what he's doing, Senator Booker for what he's doing, I would like all the people who were like, we need to get rid of the filibuster to fuck right off. It's for these purposes. And if you to shut it down, if only keeping it around long enough so that Cory Booker could beat Strom Thurmond's record on it, so that it goes down in flames to the very people that Strom Thurmond was trying to disenfranchise, we would have been denied the beauty of this moment. So I'm just saying that alone like totally worthwhile. So okay, I don't want to hammer this too much, but also, if you're in or around Wisconsin, have you voted? Give me a thumbs up that you voted or you're going to vote, or that you've talked to friends and family in Wisconsin, also in Florida. If Matt Gaetz's fucking district went down to a Democrat because there's so many Republicans running for it, oh my fucking God. Oh my God. Look at that. Look at you guys. I'm giving you a round of applause. Bless your bleeding liberal hearts. What are they filibustering? He's technically speaking regular order, but because the Trump administration is trying to shovel through a bunch of shit. Hey, there's the voters! Yay! It, anything currently is deserving of a filibuster. Yes, you understand what I mean? Like just like gumming up the works is enough of a reason to filibuster in this regard. Just saying. Now, they can't do it all the time. And this brings me to the whole like Schumer CR bullshit, that if the CR had not passed and the government had shut down, even for a short while, the Trump administration and everybody around him, sorry, the Musk administration and everybody around him would have used the fact that the government is not technically funded to redline out every department that they wanted to get rid of, including the Department of Education, USAID, fucking, I don't know, the Ag Department, everything. They would have had the ability to do that because technically during that period, they are not funded by the government. Anything that was considered discretionary could be wiped out during a government shutdown, which means that Democrats cannot allow a government shutdown. Okay? You with me? Okay. Now, there is also, okay, we'll do this, guys, in a second. I want to find something before I get to the clips that our dear friend CSL has dug up for me that I have not all like that I've not already seen, because that is part of the skill here is where are we? Yeah. So I have to find it in this. Musk, Janine Pirro, something like that. She interviewed him. Praise his interview is refreshing. Where is it? He was just on her show. Elon Musk just Thursday. Okay. The generals in Tesla attack. So I think, yeah, this is recent. Let me see if, yeah. So let me bring this in on this, and chat room. Don't forget to hit that like. This is HalSparks Megaworldwide, the greatest live stream in the history of live streams. I will part with that title temporarily for the live stream that is covering our entire, like, the C-SPAN that is covering the Booker filibuster. So over that. And also, oh yes, before we get started, can everybody throw in like a present or I don't know, a slice of cake, a little whatever that your favorite emoji is for our dear friend Mark Kremer. His birthday is today. Unfortunately, he's fortunate to be with us, but unfortunately, there you go. His birthday's on April Fool's Day, which has got to be right up there with being a week away from Christmas as far as one of the more annoying birthdays to have. So for all the years you put up, Mark, with the idea of your birthday landing on April Fool's Day so that you get like gag gifts and all kinds of shit like that, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that the comedian's Christmas is your birthday in that regard. I feel like we should celebrate your half birthday in the middle of the summer, so at least you can do something fun, you know. I'm just throwing that out there. There you go. So happy birthday, Mark. Now, I'm sorry that on your birthday I have to show you this face. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that think, wait, it is Clark Kent trans? No. It's super dipshit. I'm kidding. This is Judge Weinbach Boxwine herself, Judge Boxwine, and by the way, I think because Musk is on, she's wearing her kind of muted makeup today. If you notice that, like, she's not wearing her fucking clown makeup red that she wears a lot of times, and she's underdoing it. I think she's had a image consultant come in, but she has on Elon Musk. Now, I've seen a piece of this, but I have not seen the full interview. And some of you might say, and you wouldn't be 100% wrong, that Hal, you're only showing this clip or wanting to talk about it because they use your footage. Yeah. Can I just say for the record that our dear friend Boston Brian sent me, I wouldn't have even known that he was on this fucking show if it hadn't been for the fact that Boston Brian sent me a still from this where I think they're, he's on screen and they're during this. Yeah, there we go. And they're playing my footage. And I have to say, again, like I said in my Blue Sky post, and if you don't follow me on there, what the fuck is wrong with you? That I would like to say that I do not condone arson or vandalism in any sense. Honestly, I'm not just saying this for cover. It's wrong. And arson should be treated as attempted murder because it's the wanton endangerment of anybody. If somebody was in that building or the building next door, they could have died and you don't give a fuck. Anybody who sets fire to a bunch of shit should go to jail for attempted murder. Period. End of fucking story. Okay, just let's be clear about that, especially electric cars. Jesus Christ, where the batteries can cook off. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hal, if the batteries didn't cook off, you wouldn't have gotten such exciting footage of it popping like that, and it wouldn't be all over the news because it wouldn't have been as dramatic. Sure. So, therefore, I'm profiting from arson, and I feel terrible about it. That said, if I make anywhere near some money on this fucking footage that is everywhere, for Christ's sake, I'm gonna finally buy my next vehicle, and it's gonna be an electric vehicle that ain't a Tesla. That's all I'm saying. And I was like, like somebody suggested a vanity plate F Elon, but I was like, then I'm just driving around with felon on my license plate. Silly. And I feel like I should do something more, more positive, like 5 Park 5 rules RLZ, something like that. Okay, here we go. That's too many letters. I know. Let's go.
President Trump's tech support, Elon Musk, has been shaking up Washington with his Doge crusade to cut government waste as he becomes public enemy #1 for the Democrats, who are hell-bent on destroying his companies and making him the boogeyman of tonight's special elections. One of those races, Musk says, could affect the destiny of humanity. The billionaire has been rallying voters in Wisconsin to get behind conservative Brad Schimmel in today's high-stakes Supreme Court race. Elon Musk joins us now for an exclusive interview. Thank you so much for joining us, Elon. We are thrilled to have you on the 5.
Thank you for having me.
We're delighted to have you. So,
is the audio too low on this one? Hold on, I'm trying to make it louder because it seems kind of tepid volume-wise. I think it's okay, right? Is it all right for you guys? Just checking before we get into this. Waiting for the Aptera solar car? Absolutely. And Aptera's solar panels are now going to be used on a truck. Okay, good. Audio's good? Excellent. Okay. As good as it can be when it's these two voices, but you understand. I like Tesla. All right.
Why is this race in Wisconsin so important? And what is your response to Democrats who've tried to make tonight's elections a referendum on you?
That it's your fault.
Well, the reason tonight's elections are so important is that the judge race will decide whether the Wisconsin districts get redrawn. They're kind of trying to gerrymander Wisconsin to remove
no
Republican seats. And as you know,
because the Republicans are overrepresented.
The House is currently Republican by a razor-thin margin, which means that
yes, a mandate.
This judge race has a good chance of causing Republicans to lose control of the House. If you lose control of the House, there will be no.
Sorry, I was getting excited just for a minute. I love being threatened with a good time. Pardon me. But just letting that seep into my nerve endings. That's sorry. You were saying that you have a razor thin margin that's nowhere near a mandate, and if the law is applied sensibly, they will lose control of the House. Gotcha. Okay, please continue.
Stop impeachment hearings. There will be nonstop hearings and subpoenas. And they're going to do everything.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't see a problem so far. So what's the point of concern?
To stop the agenda that the American people voted for.
Well, I mean, half. So the other half would have a say, and it turns out that half was underwater compared to what the actual desires of the voter was. So
they voted for President Trump with a popular vote and the House and the Senate in November. They're going to do everything possible to stop the president's agenda. And so it's incredibly important that people in Wisconsin go out and vote right now, contact their friends and family, contact their neighbors, and take them to the polling stations, which close at 8 p.m. Tonight.
Sorry, can't they just order a free Cybertruck automated vehicle to drive them to the polls?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you want them to arrive alive at the polls and not crash into a barrier and burst into flames or drive off a cliff because your self-driving thinks that a waterway is just a blue road.
You can actually register to vote and vote today.
What? I thought we got rid of that shit.
Extremely tight race.
I hope they have to show proof of citizenship.
This is a race that will be decided by maybe 0.5% or 1%. It's really neck and neck.
So it's totally mandate is what you're saying. It's just another example of the Trump mandate that the voters really want this. That's why it's a razor thin margin. Do you think this ever fucking makes its way through to any of these dipshits? That if you're arguing about this kind of razor thin margin, it cuts against the whole mandate, everybody wants this idea, that it's just one talking point has the other talking point in a fucking headlock. You think it ever occurs to them, like, wait a minute, if there was a mandate, it wouldn't be razor thin in all these areas. Wait a moment.
So this could be decided by a single voter, potentially.
Yes. Nothing says mandate like a vote that could be decided by one person. This idea just never fucking sneaks up on you dickheads, does it? Look, as Democrats, we got a lot of work to do winning over the electorate, being better at communicating our ideas to people who may not buy in on the jargon or the lingo specific to what we're talking about. But Democrats are a long way from saying, guys, we're one vote away from a mandate. It's this close. If we get one more person out there, we'll have a mandate. Get the fuck out of here. If we won this by one vote, the conversation would still be, we got a lot of work to do. Right? This asshole's like, this is the greatest thing ever. It's the greatest movement ever that could be decided by one person in Wisconsin.
That's how close it is. And so if you know people in Wisconsin, call them right now
and tell them that if Musk is for it, it sucks.
Them to go and vote, and again, ask them to bring their friends, their family, their neighbors. This is a crucial election. There is also a ballot initiative to enshrine voter ID in the Wisconsin Constitution,
which thank God it didn't take effect before this. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do the same kind of same-day vote. It would have eliminated same-day voting as well. So it would have driven down fucking the sovereign citizen vote would go in the fucking toilet.
Essential for election integrity.
Okay. You know, the interesting part of that is for years, people have never really understood, Elon, you know, the significance of this Wisconsin State Supreme Court race. But you make it very clear.
Yeah, for years. They've never understood the importance of this vote that's particular to this exact election and the balance of power that's happening currently. Like nobody was talking about this in 1984.
In terms of gerrymandering and the attempt then obviously to change the number
to gerrymander it the other direction.
People, congressional seats in Wisconsin. So thank you for that. So we're going to go around the table and continue to ask some questions. So I'll start with you, Greg Gutfeld.
All right, Elon, great to see you.
Finally, someone of equal intellect to have a conversation with Elon Musk. Thank God. Right. Should we do it? We'll find one. Don't worry.
As always, I have two questions.
Yeah.
I have two questions. One, I've noticed in.
All right. One serious question and one comedy question. What do you think the odds are? What do you think? Yep.
You seem incapable of being risk averse. If you see something you want to try, you try it. And so I'm
yeah, like ketamine, for example. Yeah, if you show up at one of those fucking bowl of drugs parties, you'll just fucking throw them in your mouth like they're chiclets and you don't care about the flavor. It's amazing. You're risk averse. And even when I mean, obviously, you know, you're not the one at risk when you cut Medicare and Medicaid benefits because that risk is absorbed by the elderly and the indigent and the sick and children, you know. So yeah, it's not really, I don't even know if you can call it risk averse if you're not the one at risk, but sure.
Wondering what kind of advice would you give to a young person whose fear of failure keeps them from taking risks that would actually enrich?
Oh my God. What would you give as, you know, as you want to tell our nation's youth about taking chances so they can be a super genius too? Jesus Christ. This is like a segment they play on Kids Say the Dumbest Fucking Things.
Lives, whether it's career or personal life. And my next question is when?
Well, it ain't don't do drugs. Let's be clear. And it certainly isn't settle down and have a family. It's also, you know, I mean, what's the advice? Be born into apartheid Nepo family, an apartheid Nepo family environment and use blood emerald money to spread around during the .com bubble on a bunch of things where by shotgun approach, some of it's bound to do well.
Hell are you doing my show? I've left voicemail messages.
The first one and then the second one was a funny question, right? What I say, why won't you do my show? I think this segment is probably why.
I've sent carrier pigeons. I get no response.
Like me.
Well, I'll be happy to do your show. I've seen pieces of your show, and it's very funny. Actually, it's my style of humor. So,
it's your style of humor. So just, I've never seen anybody actually actively define their style of humor as monotonous, lacking in punchlines, self-involved, inside baseball, masturbatory blather. But okay, well, you know, hey, you like what you like, I guess.
I look forward to doing your show.
Awesome.
And taking what little humor might exist there and I don't know, throwing it out a window or putting it in a self-driving car and letting it careen into a retaining wall.
To what to tell young people, I think it's always good when thinking about something that you're afraid of. When thinking about fear, look fear straight in the eye, and it will disappear.
Unless that, of course, fear is of a poisonous snake or a black bear on a trail, or maybe you're looking at the heroin needle and going, "I'm afraid of needles." Look it right in the eye, and maybe that's where you inject it, so they won't find track marks if you're worried about your probation officer or something. Fuck off. Okay, who did the hold on. We got to pause for a second and scroll down here. Who did the I missed him. Where we go? Where'd you go? To the whoever did the free Mario bullshit, fuck off. Just saying. I am against the death penalty, especially the death penalty without trial, for the record, in all cases.
Okay. All right.
The nature of fear is that people don't look at it.
Yeah.
Look at it directly, and it will be gone.
Yeah, unless you're at the edge of a building and you're like, I'm afraid gravity will pull me to the cement.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good advice.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It's how you die of a fentanyl overdose because you think you're just taking Adderall at a fucking college party, you fucking moron.
All right, Jesse.
Jessica, look at me. Look at me. Face your fears, Jessica. Elon, how
Ugh.
I'm Jesse Waters. Good to see you. I'm not going to beg for you to come on my show. I know it'll happen eventually.
Yeah, that's where you go to apologize if you're trying to clean up after someone. Yeah.
You said the other day
Absolutely.
you uncovered some evidence that there was massive Social Security fraud and that arrests were imminent.
Yes.
What can you tell us
Massive.
about that? And what can you tell us about what you've seen politicians do to make massive amounts of money off of the federal government, like Nancy Pelosi?
Yeah, show us that. We've said, hey, all this fraud, there should at least be one arrest. One. I mean, millions of cases. Fraud everywhere. One arrest? One that wasn't already in line, that had already been prosecuted like last fucking year.
Please.
Yes. So we've encountered. There's really so much for it. It's deciding what should be prosecuted first because it's such a lot.
Yeah, that's the tough part. Yeah, so you're in charge of prosecution. So, you're just sorry. There's so much fraud. You're having a hard time passing it along to Pam Bondi. Okay.
You have to actually.
Sorry. You know what? She's got her schedule's wide open. She's already released the Epstein files.
Prioritize list. We convey the list to the Department of Justice. The DOJ has a process that they go through to review and think about it. The wheels of justice turn slowly. In fact, obviously, I have a maniacal sense of urgency. So to me, when I see that terrible fraud has happened, I'm like, why haven't we arrested someone already?
Yeah, it might be because it ain't fraud, or you haven't proven anything, or it's actually Republicans doing it. Marjorie Taylor Greene never paid back her PPP loan that she used for her campaign.
As the saying goes, the wheels of justice turn slowly but surely, and
that's not actually the phrase. And stop calling me Shirley.
I think probably the person that stole 400,000 Social Security numbers, at least, maybe more, will be arrested hopefully this week. With respect to the non-governmental organizations, these sort of fake NGOs.
By the way, scammer stole 400,000 Americans' Social Security number. According to him, this is. Let me shrink this down so you guys can see the whole screen here. So Americans. So I don't know why Americans, I guess, is the apostrophe's on the outside now, because Americans are everybody, or it's just the state of existence for everyone. So pluralizing it is an external thing. What the fuck?
I think there needs to be a number of arrests in that regard as well, because these are fake charities where mostly Democrats, almost. Well, I don't want to be clear. There's sometimes a little bit of Republican in there because they
sometimes, but you gotta. It's a matter of priorities. Obviously, we're going to put those way. We're going to take a huge backseat. Now the numbers are higher, but they're fewer.
Throw the Republicans a bone to say, hey, be quiet about this. So So that's where you start getting the uniparty thing going on. But it is overwhelmingly to Democrats, and they give give billions of dollars to NGOs.
Let me guess, Stacey Abrams again. We're going to talk about Stacey Abrams again because there's so many of these cases. We have to bring up the same one over and over again that you still haven't proven is fraud.
By Democrats that then go through a whole.
You just disagree with it.
Book of additional NGOs. It's a giant money laundering scheme. Really, at this point, I think.
You do realize at some point, because he's an employee of the government, a special employee, very special employee of the government, that this is defamatory and that the people involved in this could sue the government for what he's saying here. And I guess in the Oval Office, much easier than if he was just dipshit Elon, owner of the failing car company.
The word NGO and money laundering are almost synonymous.
Isn't SpaceX an NGO? It is. It's a non-governmental organization. It's a private company that does work with the government. So it's an NGO that is, I'm sorry, we're making a distinction between charities that get business from the government to do specific things versus profit-based companies that get business from the government.
Okay.
Wow. Thank you.
Makes sense to me.
No, it doesn't. Nothing was said. Nothing. And if a scammer got 400,000 fucking Social Security numbers when there's 340 million of them, we deal with that kind of shit in a country this size all the fucking time. And we always have. It's not like oh my God.
Hello, Judge. And hello, Elon. Welcome to the Five. Great to talk.
Hi.
Oh, dear.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the anti-Tesla violence.
Yes, let's. Just so we can play house footage.
Your car company was...
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it was...
And no, it's actually quite believable. You know, if you align yourself with the government, shit happens like this. People show up in front of CIA headquarters. They show up they've done it in front of like Boeing and other places because of their military contracts. It's actually happened before. It's not weird at all. Again, don't support it. But for fuck's sake, like the Unabomber tried to get put bombs on planes with altimeter fuses in them, shithead.
A leftist dream come true. It was technologically advanced. It was the word of mouth was better than any car company, arguably on the market.
Until.
And now the left is trying to make it a pariah. But
No. I would like to be abundantly clear. Whatever the left means, I think she means Democrats or anybody that isn't a Trump suck-up qualifies as the left nowadays. So I guess it's all of us. But we're not trying to make it a pariah. It is a pariah. It already is. Because this asshole decided his best financial move for the company was to alienate their customer base by being a prick and a racist. And excusing the baser instincts of Jeffrey Epstein's wingman. And also, is a friend of Ghislaine Maxwell's himself. So there's a lot of pariah to go around, and it didn't require any effort from us. As a matter of fact, I would argue that a lot of people look the other way about Musk's curious background and his behavior because we were so hungry for electric cars to finally make it. He was set up in a situation where we chose the environment over paying attention to what an asshole he was. Now the balance of that has shifted because there's a lot of electric cars out there now, and there's a lot of hybrids out there that are available, whereas he was the only game in town for a while. When Who Killed the Electric Car came out as a movie, Tesla was the only company that was making electric cars for the market anywhere near the potential scale of the desire for, that buyers had to get them. So this was a Sophie's Choice moment for environmentalists. Yes, he's a fucking apartheid nepo baby with a lot of questionable very eugenic, Darwinian views of who deserves to live and who deserves to die. But people were like, the electric car company is a good thing, that we should be moving in that direction. Now, it might as well be it's the Kirby of EVs. I would argue that it's the Tucker of EVs now.
Yeah.
Tying their anti-Elon politics to violence. How do you talk the unhinged off the ledge? And
Why would he want to talk the unhinged off the ledge? That's his base. They're just you mean because there's a few unhinged people that are on the opposite side of the political spectrum that he's going to dissuade the unhinged among us? That if it wasn't for the unhinged, there wouldn't be anybody still thinking his Tesla stock has legs.
how do you counter that violence that you're seeing at Tesla dealerships?
Yes, it is remarkable that there is so much violence.
Yes, we are remarking on it.
You know, people.
Just knowing. Again, I do not support this kind of violence. It is genuinely wrong. It's fucking dangerous. But the fact that this footage makes him miserable every time he sees it gives me a little bit of joy. Little bit of joy.
Burnt cars, they've fired bullets into dealerships, they've scratched swastikas into Teslas of innocent people.
Yeah, that part I wouldn't bring up.
They're just going about their lives. They've done nothing wrong. And Tesla's done nothing wrong as a company. And so...
Well, then step down. We went through this shit with Mike Pillow. Don't blame your fucking company. Don't let them say for the betterment of the company, they don't need me. We have great engineers. I'm stepping down as CEO entirely. Put your stock in a fucking blind trust while you're working with the fucking government.
Ironic and incredibly hypocritical that the same Democrat...
Oh no, the violence. Dear God, what the fuck? Hold on. We're looking at toy... Hold on. Back the fuck up. They're smashing toy Teslas and my footage is way better. This is terrible. Like old people with hammers smashing toy Teslas.
Ironic and incredibly hypocritical that the...
Oh no, my God, the terrorism. This is a little, I gotta say, this is a little pitiful. This is great. This is like, it's almost like we're watching home videos of ex-Musk.
Democrat politicians who would want to throw someone in prison for 20 years simply for watching things at January 6th, but not actually doing any violence.
Whoa, from watching things at January 6th? How'd they watch? Oh, right. They stepped over the bloodstains of assaulted cops to get in the fucking building. Stop with this bullshit. Unless it's okay, Elon Musk, if we all show up at your property and the only person that broke the law is the person who smashes the window and lets the rest of us in. Shut the fuck up with this nonsense. Stop it. If you just watched, the way you got in to just watch is you climbed in through a busted window or you stepped over the bloodstains of cops that were assaulted. Shut the fuck up. This talking point is the weakest of all the January 6th talking points. What? We only carried a flag. That's freedom. That's freedom of speech. You should be able to carry the fucking Confederate flag, a symbol of an insurrection that tried to topple the United States, early in its existence. You should be able to wave that anywhere you fucking want. What's the difference? I like the Dukes of Hazzard. God damn it. The worst one ever is what? All they did was go in and walk around. They only got in because cops were beaten.
You don't hear a single word from them about the actual violence happening.
Yes, you have. I've done more than a single word, asshole. Multiple, and by the way, multiple elected Democrats and others have said, no, we do not support arson and vandalism in these situations at all, period, end of fucking story. That's more than a single word. And I know you guys have problems with this, with the concept of single versus multiple in a lot of situations. For example, Trump said he could solve the fucking Ukraine-Russia conflict in a single phone call or a single hour. And obviously, there have been multiple phone calls and myriad hours between then and now, since the election and now, and it hasn't fucking happened.
Tesla, what incredible hypocrites they are. It's outrageous.
I gotta say, like, this footage is spectacular. Like the giant, trans black lady that's smashing toy Teslas. Is this footage taken from an airplane about the giant? Maybe this is who they think exists. Maybe they think this is to scale. Like liberals and trans people are and black people are like Godzilla roaming the fucking countryside, stomping on dealerships.
I mean, really, this is fundamentally a case of terrorism. It's wide-scale domestic terrorism with the purpose of intimidation.
Yeah, it's not wide scale. It's specific to a particular brand. It's not. I mean, they're not attacking electric cars as a concept. It's, it's across the country. I mean, it's wide as far as sea to shining sea. But
and it's harming innocent people. It's really terrible.
Wait, it's harming innocent people? They're being harmed? Now, wait. I'm not. Look, I don't want innocent people to be harmed.
Of intimidation, and it's harming innocent people.
Oh my God, that's terrible. Did you guys hear that? Innocent people are being harmed, which I got to say sounds pleasant. What a humming!
It's really terrible, and I think what we actually have to get to are the people who are organizing.
It kind of undercuts your whole like, Jesus Christ, this is terrorism. This is Tesla's 9/11 when you're just showing an overweight black person on a fucking scooter driving into the side of a Tesla at a dealership. Like, I'm not for it, but fucking stop whimpering, you tit.
And paying for these attacks and protests. That's who we really need to go after, because the people at who are actually throwing the Molotov cocktails, they are the foot soldiers. Right. But we need to go after the generals, and we're going to do
the generals. Yeah, that's who it is. This is yes. We will fight them at the recharging stations. We will fight them in the parking lots. We will fight them at the collision centers that were oddly empty of Teslas until such time as I started shit talking most Americans. We will fight them everywhere except the stock market, because fuck me.
The president has made it very clear that we're going to go after those that are.
Oh, there it is again. Cha-ching. I don't even know if I'm making it. I should be like, what do you think? A nickel every time this airs? I got to be able to buy an electric car with just the funds from this at some point, yes? Even if I'm splitting it 50-50 with these storyful people, for fuck's sake, it's everywhere.
And organizing these violent attacks. And Attorney General Bondi has said the same thing. I believe that is exactly what will happen.
Do you know who they are?
We're coming for them.
Do you know who those generals are?
We know. We do.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. We're absolutely aware of who it's the fuck, what is it? The what are they called? The people who do the it's him, what's his name? The guy who, the guy in charge of all the people who are randomly making it about themselves. All right, if you know who the generals are, fucking say it, stupid. Say it. What is it, Soros? Shut the fuck up. The reality is you've like aggravated and given I guess cause to the same people that were like firebombing federal buildings in Portland, right? Those same fuckers are the people who are doing this stuff. And if you're like, notice the total like lack of like Antifa talking points. That's just fucking gone away. I guess when you pardon everybody that was arrested, you can't say they were all Antifa charging in there or like, and again, I don't know why, we'll say this for another day, but I don't know why Elon Musk is for Antifa being able to just walk around the Capitol.
And hopefully the prosecution will be for RICO and an organized criminal enterprise, which makes...
Yes, I agree. And I hope that some of the emails where he's trying to clear out some of the dead inventory by hiring people or promising people money, for doing the damage themselves, gets added to that or whatever. Wouldn't it be the irony that, I mean, look, would it be the first time that a businessman who was losing money on a company and wasn't selling units set fire to one of his own places or promoted it or paid for it to be attacked so that they could make money on the insurance instead of trying to sell the goods? I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm just saying rico suave.
Penalties
Absolutely.
even more serious.
Yes, the penalties must be taken. Tuck penalty, 0 defects.
And now to Jessica.
Yes, absolutely. These are serious crimes where the organizers and pushers of mass violence will go to prison for a very long time.
Great, very exciting. Yes, mass violence. People who promote mass violence should go to prison for a very long time. Now, about January 6th.
That's right. Okay.
And I hope they see this segment.
Yeah, this is their favorite show.
Well, we'll play it again. Jessica.
Okay, well, liberal Tesla lover here. My sister has 2 in her family, so have not thrown any Molotov cocktails recently. But I wanted to talk to you about what Doge has been doing. So you've been making cuts to a lot of the agencies that have open investigations and regulatory battles with your companies. At the same time, you continue to get billions in government contracts. Tesla gets billions in subsidies. How do you explain that to the American people?
Well, everything that Doge does is an open book. So we're...
No, it's not. Lie number 1.
I think the most transparent action, the most transparent organization in government ever. Every single Doge action is listed on the Doge.gov website.
Lie number 2.
It's also listed on the X handle. So if anyone has a concern about any one of those actions, they can bring that up. They can raise that. And I do want to say, like, sometimes we make a mistake. Nobody bats 1,000. We will.
Yeah, okay, this appeal to perfection bullshit. Fuck off. You're not bowling 100, motherfucker.
Times make mistake and make a mistake. We'll act very quickly to correct it.
You don't even know. You don't even know what the mistakes are. And again, when you make a mistake with your own fucking company and you work to correct it or whatever, they do a recall, it costs you some money. But when it's Medicare, Medicaid, like aid to impoverished people or refugees or people like that, fucking people die, you slapdash bastard.
I am under such an extreme spotlight, so much scrutiny, that it's literally impossible for me to get away with anything.
It's literally easy for him to get away with everything. He has the president of the United States running cover, and the website sucks.
Nefarious, and obviously, nor do I wish to. So, this is a.
Well, then why not list every employee of the Doge team? Give a dossier on who they are. How about make them sit before Congress and be interviewed individually as if they were cabinet officials? Be effectively, if Doge is a real department, maybe everybody in it should have to, at the very least, do what the average federal worker has to do.
Case where we have radical transparency.
Lie. Hashtag radical transparency is a lie.
We're actually willing to admit that we do make mistakes. Often people are not willing to admit they make mistakes, but we are.
What do you mean, Trump?
And
you mean like Mike Waltz? You mean like Pete Hegseth?
We want to emphasize we fix them quickly, and we're trying to do the right thing for the American taxpayer, for the American people, And I think history will be the judge that what we've done here and what we're doing is a very good thing for the strength and future of America.
So I just want you to, I know most of you are like, gee, that sounds like they hired a crisis PR team and they crafted a message to basically plug the holes in the dam that are happening with the MAGA crowd, who are suddenly starting to come to the realization that you're in it for yourself, and this is and hashtag Doge is a heist. And this statement seems like it was made by ChatGPT, or a marketing team using ChatGPT to cover your ass. Well, by the way, and apparently in the prompt for it, you were like, the people I'm talking to are obscenely gullible. Give me a statement that these dough-headed dumbasses will believe.
Okay. So, Elon, for one last time, why don't you remind the viewers why the election in Wisconsin is so important to America as well as the Trump agenda?
Yes, the Trump agenda. Also, read the other statement we brought you on to read.
Absolutely. So the reason that, because it does seem like, why isn't this rather a small thing? And it's happening, ironically, of course, on April Fool's Day. This is not an April Fool's joke. This is very real.
It's so funny how it's sort of, funny how April Fool's Day is a thing.
So a judge race election in Wisconsin will decide whether or not.
And again, I mean, I don't know. What do we congratulate Republicans on finding such a fine speaker with the, orator skills of some of the greatest?
The Democrats can gerrymander Wisconsin in order to remove
or undo the gerrymandering that gave Trump a leg up that shouldn't have been done. That's the other way to look at it. I'm just throwing it out there that the gerrymandering actually happened, and the judges would decide to undo the gerrymandering that gave Republicans seats they don't deserve. So just another, I'm saying, another perspective just floating.
2 House seats from Republican to Democrat. Because of the razor-thin margins in the House, that would mean...
Yes, razor-thin margin equals mandate.
Potentially a flip of the House from Republican to Democrat.
Yes, and he'll be reading the same statement he read before.
At the next election, roughly less than 2 years from now, the House will then immediately take action to stop the president's agenda. And it's always worth reminding people the president was elected with a majority of the people of America.
Right, but that doesn't mean that the majority can eliminate the minority or the goals of the minority at that level. I mean, again, I know you think it's a mandate, but if the score from the last election was a baseball game, it'd be 1 3-pointer at the buzzer. So
a meaningful majority of the popular vote. So all the president is trying to do is implement the will of the people. And
I see. So the will of the people wouldn't, for some reason, those districts might be lost because the people in those districts won't like what Trump is doing. And therefore, they might be able to vote in such a way that they get to push back on his agenda. That's weird. Okay. So anyways, you were saying something about voice of the people.
We're trying to stop the will of the people through judicial trickery. And in fact, in general, there is a huge problem with activists that are actually politicians in judges' robes.
Oh, you mean like Clarence Thomas or Amy Coney Barrett or guess not.
And that needs to stop.
Eileen Cannon. Yeah, I agree. She should be impeached.
Undermining the integrity, the reality, and the perception of the integrity of the legal system of the United States.
Anyways, about Eileen Cannon.
And these fake judges should be ashamed of themselves. They are not.
I agree. Are you listening, Eileen Cannon?
They're just pretending to be judges, but they are not they're making the law instead of implementing the law. It's wrong.
The low? Sorry, was anyone harmed by them implementing the low?
Yes, and they're activists. And you say that you can both register and vote today?
Yeah, and that law that they're trying to vote on would eliminate that ability. So this is our last chance.
Yes, you can both register and vote today, and the voting stations.
And by the way, I agree. Democrats. Sorry. Let's see. Election. There you go. Let's see. Let's see if we go. Susan Crawford. There we go. So this is Susan Crawford right here. Everybody's voting for Susan Crawford. So Susan Crawford, Susan Crawford, Susan Crawford should be the Susan Crawford. Susan Crawford should be the name in everybody's mouth, because you'll notice he did not mention the person who is not Susan Crawford in this whole fucking thing. Just pointing that out. Like, granted, he clearly had like statements written for him to cover his ass with a bunch of Republican voters and the like, or to push this thing. And the assumption would be that the Republican is the person that they're voting for. So he's just skating on that. But does he even know not Susan Crawford's name? So people are voting for Susan Crawford today. Susan Crawford. Susan Crawford is the person. Everybody should be saying Susan Crawford everywhere. Just Susan Crawford. So Susan Crawford can Susan Crawford as best as Susan Crawford can Susan Crawford. And that also needs to be our ploy in all elections. That in the lead up, especially the last couple of weeks, the attacks on the other side should have already done their damage, and the entire push should come from languaging wise, should come towards elevating the name of the person that's valuable in this situation, especially Susan Crawford, who is Susan Crawfording to be the Susan Crawford that is part of the Supreme Court, so that she can be part of the Wisconsin Supreme Court as Judge Susan Crawford. You understand what I'm saying? So that when people go into that thing, they're like, scratch, scratch. Who are we voting for? Now, I don't know that. I don't know how Wisconsin's things look like, what they look like in the booth. But insofar as I know, in a lot of places anyways, it doesn't say whether you're a Democrat or Republican. It says what you did beforehand. And I would argue that when it comes to judges, it shouldn't say. It should not say your political party. But in this case, it doesn't matter. Susan Crawford. Susan Crawford, Susan Crawford, Susan Crawford, Susan Crawford, and also Susan Crawford. So Susan Crawford, her name should be all over shitter today, Susan Crawford. Also, yes, go Cory Booker, go. This is the tail end of this. P.S. Susan Crawford.
At 8 p.m. local time.
All right. Elon Musk, thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, thanks, Super Genius, for being on here the entire time to promote this whole thing and telling us how important it is and never mentioning the fucking candidate once. Which, of course, is Susan Crawford. You should Susan Crawford and Susan Crawford as much as possible. I don't know who his guy is. But it is a guy, I think, maybe. I don't know. What is a man, really? I don't know. Can anybody say hashtag what is a man? But Susan Crawford should be the only name that you're reminded of. And again, it's not that hard. I mean, you should just be able to come out and go, this is the person and this is why. But he's so focused on just kind of the Trumpy authoritarianism of it, he can't even mention anybody else's fucking name except his own and Trump's. That's and by the way, super genius. Does it take a genius, ladies and gentlemen of the jury of my peers, the folks that are in the chat room? I don't think any of you would have to be reminded that if you were going on television to talk about a crucial election, you would remember to bring up the name of the candidate that people should be voting for. Right? I mean, that should be baseline, right? You bet your ass. If I was on one of these shows and they'd be like, Susan Crawford is the person you need to vote for today because these issues and these issues, because Susan Crawford will blah, blah, blah. So that people remember the name Susan Crawford. This motherfucker can't even bring himself to like, and again, maybe this is the benefit of having megalomaniacal assholes trying to create this kleptocratic oligarchy that they're trying, because if they weren't megalomaniacal, I mean, I guess, would you even try it if you weren't a megalomaniac, right, was the thing. But let's say that there were people trying to do this kind of a flip because they were, I don't know, doped up, or they believed in their own minds that this was the way to go because they were religious fanatics or some shit like that, but they weren't about themselves. They might be able to get a lot more of this shit through. They'd be able to convince a lot more people. They're at the margins right now. And again, zero fucking mandate. I'd like to remind everyone, no mandate. There's no mandate. There wasn't a mandate. There's not a mandate. There's not going to be a mandate. This asshole right here does not have a mandate by any stretch. And I would also like to point out that he is flagging right before our very eyes. Everything they said that they worried about and talked about Biden, you know, his brain going and all that kind of stuff is absolutely true of Trump. Everyone around him knows it. He cancels morning meetings all the fucking time because he ain't up yet. They basically have this kind of like white glove government style where they just bring shit to him so he can sign it and go back to fucking sleep or golfing or eating junk food. This is not going to end well for this dumbass. Yeah, he is sundowning super fucking fast. And again, there have been a few times when we've been, talking about this asshole, and this was when he was like at the top of his game, where he was saying shit like,
Michigan gave us Motang.
Right?
We're honored to have with us today our amazing Vice President, Mike Pence, and his wonderful wife, Carrot.
When he couldn't pronounce
Burmese executives. So this Burmese, they say, pronounce it Burmese.
Burisma. No one says that. Not anyone. Also, Verona is in Italy.
To me, Corona means Italy.
Right. Corona to most people means Mexican beer and lime or some shit like that. And also, just for the record,
Winston Churchill stood on the rooftops in London, very calm, making speeches. Winston Churchill.
No, he did not.
Action replays in magnified fortune.
Right. So this is before he was younger, much younger than before than he is now when he said shit like that.
They don't like the gas.
Right. Or
free health care for illegal. Look.
Yeah. And then, of course, who can forget the ass force?
First new branch of the U.S. Armed Forces in 75 years, Space Force. Not since the ass force.
Not since the ass force. So, also, maybe as a president, you should know what per capita means.
And when you say per capita, there's many per capitas. It's like per capita relative to what?
That's no, per capita is a very distinct measuring point. Also, Nicaragua is a country. Nicaragua is gibberish.
A lot of very bad things are happening in Nicaragua.
Now, I don't know what the Pornhub search results are for this president, but I'm immediately concerned. Just saying.
And when they get caught, they say, no, this is just soup for my family.
Uh-huh. And, I guess we can't go anywhere without...
We're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges.
And
when they gaze upon Yosemite.
Right. So, again, he was younger and had, in theory, more of his shit together than he does now. So here we go. I'm just teeing this up because I don't think we're going to hear a lot of brilliant shit. And I don't know, is this the one with Kid Rock.
Breaking tonight, we are coming to you tonight from the Homeland Security Department headquarters in Washington, D.C. This is obviously the agency that was created after 9/11.
Shut up.
Is in the Oval Office right now, coming up in just a few moments here. Meantime, President Trump is in the Oval Office right now. He's taking questions.
All right. We covered some of this bullshit yesterday. Points Steve Ducey for pointing out that he goes, this is the first time you've done something like this. And Biden says, I don't know, does Ducey ask the question and he gets away with it? He goes, you've never done it with somebody in the office that looks like they're about to be shot out of a cannon.
He's signing an executive order there
that says enforce the law that already exists.
Tail ticket prices manipulation, scalping. As you can see, Kid Rock is in the Oval Office. We thought we'd dip in, give you.
Wait, that's Kid Rock? I thought like Dr. Phil was had lost a bunch of weight because of Ozempic and was forced by his fans to wear one of Elvis's old outfits from a movie that was never released because it was too racist.
Little of this as well.
And I'd like to take my ticket prices lower, but if I set my ticket prices low, these bots immediately eat them up and they resell for hundreds of dollars more, and I'm just making these bad actors rich.
Well, I think this is a big
shit. Yeah. I mean, you'd think most of your average state fairs would have a better system in place, you know? By the way, when I play a state fair with Nerd Halen or something like that, it's a step up because we're a fun club band cover act that has a great time. When he plays one, it is a drastic step down from the heyday. And so I take great pleasure at different times in my career of passing people on my way up.
Do you have something, Brad?
Yeah, I do. And also putting on a better show than he does. I guarantee Nerd Halen, better show than Kid Rock. Period. End of story. And I will open for that motherfucker and watch everybody leave when we're done.
I actually feel that the consumer is going to take the money that they saved and
that's fucking Brian Glenn. They're going to take the money they're going to save on ticket prices.
actually buy merch, which you guys have a big percentage of, or do concessions, which you guys split with the venue on that as well. So I think they're.
Sorry, people are going to spend less on tickets. Therefore, when they get there, they're going to buy more popcorn, beer, or shirts. That's how they are going to even out the savings instead of, well, I guess fuck eggs at this point, right?
We don't share concessions a lot. No, those are, we try.
Yeah, way to go, Brian. They don't get a piece of the beer. Are you nuts? And it's even sadder because you have to be drunk to watch this motherfucker.
But they don't want to share it in the beer prices and parking or any of that stuff. But the bottom line is there's more.
And the parking, Jesus Christ! Please, someone have a video of Kid Rock standing near his manager while his manager's on the phone trying to get a part of the parking for events for shows he's doing because his tickets aren't selling. Fuck me.
For everyone to be made. There's plenty of money to go around. You know, no one's going to really lose here. You know, Ticketmaster, if we can get a cap, they're going to lose some money. But I've already talked to CEO Michael, and he's given me his word. He's on board for it.
I was talking to Jacoby with Papa Roach earlier, and by the way, he's a big fan of what you're doing, President Trump, digging into.
Yeah, he's telling people to enforce the law that Biden passed. Yeah, he's a huge fan.
This whole scalping and the bots. A lot of musicians, you can say that they're with Kid Rock, sir.
Good.
On this,
I think so.
without a doubt.
A lot of people are.
President Trump, would you ever wear a jacket like that?
I don't know. I was thinking about doing it for tomorrow. We have a big event coming up, and I was thinking about doing it, but.
Yeah, wear that for Liberation Day. And I mean, we would all call it Liberace Day, but whatever.
So you recently bought a Tesla for White House staff to use, but
because even with self-driving, you can't drive.
Now there's all these domestic terrorists targeting Teslas. Are the staff?
I would also like to point out, yes, there are domestic terrorists targeting Teslas, and those people should go to jail. But there are also a lot of people boycotting Teslas and targeting Teslas for, say, middle fingers and stuff like that, that is completely legal and under the free speech protections of the U.S. Constitution. And there's a lot more of them out there than this. So, like, on balance, there are a lot more people just giving the finger to Teslas and saying they will never buy one and buying other electric cars, even when they maybe at one point had planned on buying a Tesla, than there will ever be of people setting the fucking things on fire, just for the record. And obviously, he's not going to bring up those people.
Drive it.
I don't.
My only regret is that one of those frames on his desk doesn't start playing my footage, so the U.S. government owes me money.
So I haven't heard they were complaining. I did buy one, and I let the staff use it. We have it parked conveniently, and one day we give it to Margot, one day we give it to Chamberlain. Give it to Natalie, we give it to everybody around. Give it to Dan Scavino, but he's got so much money it doesn't matter. But they love the car, and it's a great car, and
it's parked conveniently. So
it's made in the country. He's got a tremendous plant now in Texas.
Assembled.
He has one in California. Does a lot of his work here.
Hey, where do the batteries come from? Remember you were saying all that thing about the batteries coming from China, or they're all made in China, or something about that. Where the batteries for Teslas come from? I'm just curious. I don't know. Like, wouldn't it be ironic if they came from China? That's funny. And you're giving him a special carve out because he assembles things in the United States. Well, I mean, what's the difference? Assembled, manufactured, made. You think there is such a thing as fucking AI factories? Which is, I gotta say, one of the biggest oxymorons that exists.
And he's been really unfairly treated, in my opinion. I travel.
And
yeah.
There's this other story. I know it's hypothetical right now, but if you were allowed, for some reason, to run for a third term, is there a thought that the Democrats could try to run Barack Obama against you?
I'd love that.
For his third term?
Boy, I'd love that. That would be a good one. I'd like that.
Me too.
No, people are asking me to run, and there's a whole story about running for a third term. I don't know. I never looked into it.
I just comment on it and say there are ways to do it, and there's lots of ways to do it. And everybody says there's ways to do it, and they've talked to me about those ways to do it, but I don't really know much about it or whatever. They were discussing it on Signal, I think.
You say there's a way you can do it, but I don't know about that. But I have not looked.
There is not a way you can do it. And by the way, I think the way that you can do it, that they're thinking, is that you somehow skirt the rules, run as Vance's VP, and then somebody murders him. That seems to be the talk of the town.
But I want to do a fantastic job. We have 4 years, just about, almost close.
Just about.
4 years. Time is flying, but it's still close to 4 years, and we're getting a lot of credit for having done a great job in the first almost 100 days.
No, you're not.
And we have some big things we're going to be announcing over the next 2 days, and you know very well, Peter, and I think it's going to be something that's going to bring a lot of wealth back to our country, tremendous wealth back to our country, actually. And other countries are understanding it because they've been ripping us for 50 years.
They've been ripping us? What, do they just roll up and drive away? My God, they've been ripping us. Maybe we should use lube or something, I guess.
But they've been ripping us off for years, right from the beginning.
Ripping us off, like a Band-Aid, I see. Okay.
I think this is going to be an amazing, I call it a lot of different names, but it's really, in a sense, it's a rebirth of a country because
Yes, rebirth of a nation. I think it's, call it that. Call it rebirth of a nation. That'll go over gangbusters. It has no negative connotations. It'll sail through the media like sump grease through a 10-year-old goose. Rebirth of it.
Afforded to do what we did.
That's, by the way, he keeps forgetting that it's called Liberation Day. He can't remember Liberace Day, and so he keeps He's like, what do I keep calling it? I always call it. What do I always call it? I call it something always. I call it something. I don't know. What could be more insulting to the people that started this country and have a tinge of racism? Yes, rebirth of a nation.
everybody, and they don't help us. I really, the term I like best probably is the liberation of America. It's the liberation of this country, because
Liberation Day. You're trying to say Liberation Day. That's what you're trying to say it, and it ain't coming out. But I don't know. I'm curious. My question would be, what are the oranges of Liberation Day? You know, when you think about the oranges, if you consider the oranges of Liberation Day, what
incredible. Look, we have 36 trillion in debt for a reason, and that accumulates.
Yes, a third of it is you.
For a long period of time. So I think what you're going to be seeing over the next couple of days will be
$40 trillion in debt because of your tax break you want to give.
Very inspiring to a lot of people. You know, they had.
Yes, they will be inspired to eat dry oatmeal to save on honey and sugar. Yeah.
Auto plants being built in a certain country. I don't want to mention the country because we get a.
Because it was Mexico and it wasn't actually happening, and it's a story you told during the campaign that didn't actually happen. And now there was a giant auto plant being built in Mexico that would have 9 fucking employees, and now it'll be built in Michigan where it'll have 7 fucking employees. That's great. So like, why don't you just put a giant refrigerator in the middle of a city? It just call it a factory.
With the country, but those plants aren't being built there anymore. They gave them up today and yesterday.
Today and yesterday, which was a month ago and a year ago, and also yesterday.
And they're building them all now in the United States. And we have many examples, not only auto plants, chip companies from Taiwan are coming.
You mean the deal that Biden struck last year?
The biggest, Mr. Wei, he's big. I said, you are a smart guy, aren't you? I've been reading about him over the years, but.
Over the years. Yeah, you've been totally a big fan. Read his autobiography in Mandarin and.
Controls a large portion of the chip business, as you know.
He controls a large portion. No, he runs the company that makes the best chips. He doesn't control a large portion. As a matter of fact, he doesn't. A large portion is the lower res chips, and China still makes a lot of those fucking things. They're all over the Wi-Fi routers that your fucking administration bought during your presidency the first time.
Smarter, they're going to be investing $200 or $300 billion. Apple's investing $500 billion. You know, they always built their places in China. Now he's building here. I think
because of security, safety, and IP. And they, by the way, they don't think that the U.S. government will have the capacity to secure intellectual property unless they're built in the United States and just used here. If they travel at all, they're fucked.
You speak to Tim Cook because of the election, but maybe more importantly because of the tariffs. You know, he's got really an obligation to do it. But we have many, many companies that you haven't even heard of. But I think
you're right. I haven't heard of them. It was from Incorporated. They're great.
Get $5 trillion very soon. And if you think about this, we've never been anywhere near that. I don't know if we've ever been at $1 trillion. What
do you mean by that?
We're 500. What do I mean by a trillion?
5 trillion. What are you referring to, sir?
I think that we're going to be at $5 trillion of investment. I think you're going to have investments very shortly. We're already 3.5, and we have commitments, verbal commitments for a lot more.
Yeah, verbal commitments, which are worth way more than contractual things that were signed during the Biden administration that are playing out. Have fun at the ribbon cutting.
Numbers like that have never been done in this country, and it's good.
Yeah, they have, especially equivalent dollars over the industrialization, the post-World War II area. Of course there have.
This is in 2 months. It's really in less than 2 months, because since we've really gone out with it.
Well, I mean, 2 months and 4 years, because the Biden administration negotiated all of these deals.
We have other interesting things happening, but to me, the whole tariff situation, and essentially they've done that to us for many years. So if we're anywhere near $5 trillion in 2 months, this could be numbers like the country's never seen. And
like nobody's ever seen before, like the country's never seen before, like no one's ever seen before, like no one's ever seen, ever seen. What happens the second time? Have they seen it shit before? Is that what you're going to say? How do you keep on winning and and everything's bigger than the last thing that didn't actually happen?
Every time you hear $1 spent, that's another job, because the jobs
Sorry, jobs cost $1.
With it. So, auto plants, chip plants, pharmaceuticals, lumber coming in.
You mean all the things that we had to deal with the supply chain stuff after COVID that the Biden administration spent 4 fucking years securing?
We have things happening in this country. I'm not sure that they've ever seen it. Steel, you know, we have tariffs on steel. They've been here for a while. Steel and aluminum.
Yes, steel and aluminum has been here for a while. I think since the Bronze Age for steel, anyways.
Nobody's ever seen anything like we're witnessing.
Has anybody seen anything like this?
No, nobody's ever seen anything.
Well, and you're still not seeing it. And when I say not see, I mean it.
Most of you agree with that. I mean, it's nothing much you can't agree with.
Can't?
We have things happening in terms of jobs and investment, the likes of which I don't think we've ever seen. If you look at...
Has anybody ever seen anything like this before? I don't think we've ever seen anything like this before. This is like the likes of which nobody's ever seen. And granted,
let's
just say, I mean, seeing is believing and nobody believes it. So maybe they're not seeing what we're seeing. I mean, he's certainly not seeing what we're seeing.
$5 trillion in a period of a month and a half. That's even more than you do with your concerts, which are always sold out, right?
Nah, they're probably equal, right? I think obviously Kid Rock makes $1 trillion.
Nobody's ever seen numbers. And think of it, where Apple's at 500.
That's right. No one's ever seen numbers. I think in general, just they're invisible numbers. That's why I see. That's why no one's ever seen anything like this, because these are invisible numbers. That I see. Sometimes the truth just kind of squeaks out.
Billion, as I said, but they always used to spend that money in China. Now they're spending it here. That means they're going to build. Now they don't have any tariffs. Remember, there are no tariffs if you do your product here, if you build whatever it is in the USA.
By the way, Apple is moving their major iPhone factory to Vietnam, and that's where those will be made. Their chips are still made here and continue to be made here, and they're expanding on that. But they're not going to do any manufacturing facility that Apple opens up will be 100% automated. But still, it'll take them at least 3 to 5 years to get one of these things up and running, where it's providing even assembly on a major scale. So I guess he's tariffing Vietnamese phones by Apple. So
things we're also trying to get is if you buy a car that was built in the USA, you get a deduction on interest. So if you go out and borrow money to buy a car, if it's built in the USA, never been done before, it's a big deduction.
It's a subsidy. Yes, you are. It's a government subsidy. It's one of the problems we have with Europeans is that they subsidize their internal car market. This is just another way of doing it. We've done similar shit before, by the way, where we allow the companies to write it off, not the individuals. So they get zero cost financing through GMC and others. That's because of basically loan guarantees from the U.S. for the companies, not the individuals. That's all. And again, that'll still happen as well. What interest are you paying? Because the other interest, the loans, I guess this is so banks can get in on this action. Is that what he's doing? So this is basically like a giveaway so that banks can finance cars more than the auto companies?
People that really aren't used to deductions, frankly, because people that...
Because only poor people drive? This motherfucker.
Cars like that are not big into the world of deductions, and now they're going to learn about...
Sorry, one more? What?
That buy cars like that are not big into the world of deductions.
Yes, the people who finance their cars don't tend to deduct things because they don't make the kind of money where you pay taxes. That's what he thinks. That's what he thinks. I would like to remind everyone that Elon Musk borrows money via Tesla and X and pays his salary out of the borrowed money so that the taxes he pays on his income is lower because of the the liabilities they have than the borrowing cost of the money. He makes money. It like if you're paying, like if you borrow it at 5% and your taxes on it are 7%, and then you can deduct the interest of 5%, you're paying 2% on taxes without even the other deductions.
Now they're going to learn about deduction. So I think it's going to be great. Yeah.
Mr. President, are you going to move ahead with a universal tariff or different individual tariff rates on a whole variety of different?
He has no fucking idea.
You're going to see in 2 days, which is maybe tomorrow night or probably Wednesday. You're going to.
Or, all right, sure, probably Wednesday. Nothing says like stable markets like probably Wednesday. How about see you next Tuesday, you weirdo?
And they're reciprocal. So whatever they charge us, we charge them, but we're being nicer than they were. We have a lot of countries, friend and foe. I always say friend and foe, but the friend in many cases is worse than the foe. They took advantage of it.
Why? Because we don't do any business with Iran? Sorry, if Iran wants tariff-free dates, they've got to grow them in the United States.
And
I did not mean for that to rhyme, but you're welcome.
We are going to be very nice by comparison to what they were. The numbers will be lower than what they've been.
Real quick, can we do this real quick? I don't know if we're checking in on the tail end of this. Is he wrong? Oh, there we go.
Today-
Go into this. Yeah.
You still have big ideas that aren't partisan. If President Trump, from his inaugural address to his first speech before a joint session of Congress, said enough, there are big ideas in this country. I want the best. I want people to come together. I'm tired of us talking down at each other. It's time for us to come together and imagine ways to create real abundance in America for all Americans. I trust the genius of America, the kindness and the decency, but this president doesn't do that. He violates all of our common senses of decency. And don't say it doesn't happen, folks. Don't say that. I listen to him. I listen to how he talks about people. We have a government now, as I said earlier, that isn't ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. We have a country now where a president says, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for Donald Trump. And you're seeing who gets the special treatment. Some law firms are really threatened right now with being bankrupted by Donald Trump targeting them. Others have decided a different path. I'm not hating on them, but they said we're going to go to Trump and we're going to offer him what he wants. We're going to give him tens of millions of dollars of free pro bono work. I wish they would bring some of that free pro bono work to Newark, New Jersey. A lot of people who need lawyers, folks in my city. What are the standards here of our government?
Go, man, go.
You want a merger? Well, maybe you should put a lot of money in Donald Trump's meme coin. I read the document. There's something word called emoluments. And we sit by and act like, oh, no big deal. He's made millions and millions of dollars from who we don't know. We haven't held one hearing of oversight to know who is giving him millions of dollars through that meme coin. Is it the Turks? Is it the Saudis? Is it the Chinese? Is it the Russian oligarchs? Do we know? Should we know? Yes, America, stop falling into tribal lanes and closing your eyes to things that should not be normalized. Why are we normalizing these things? They're
so great. Now let's jump back over to, I would like to remind everyone that he has been talking for almost 24 hours straight. In a half an hour, 50 minutes, he'll hit the 24-hour mark. In a half an hour, he will have he will have beaten Strom Thurmond's record, which I believe, again, is 24 hours and 19 minutes, 18 minutes. Somebody can look that up. But it's close to that. And he's going to make it. He's going to make it. And I think he goes straight 25 hours at minimum. And I feel like it's so, I'm an hour behind. Well, on that, I had to fast forward. So, like on this situation, this is their feed. So, beg your pardon. Let me bring this back up. So, this is Yeah. This is his footage. Yeah. He already beat it? Okay, good. Yeah, 24 hours and 18 minutes? Okay, thank you. What was it at 7 o'clock? Didn't he start at 7 p.m.? Oh, right, because 4 o'clock, 7. Right, I'm in Central Time again in my fucking mind. Sorry, yes, he already beat it. That's right. As of, 20 minutes ago. Yeah, 25 minutes. Then, all right, so at the end of my show, he will have hit 25 hours. This is the goal that he's shooting for. We will check in with him at the end of the show specifically, but he has already beaten Strom Thurmond. I wish I had, do I have my, hold on. I have my camera stuff like this and go to camera, and then I can go to reactions and turn those on. And then can I trigger one of these? Hooray! Something like that. Okay, hold on. Whoops. Why is this here? Why would it not play it? You bastard. Okay. Oh, I see. Because it has to go all the way to OBS or something. There you go. At how fast reactions. Then we go to here, and can I trigger this? Yay! He already beat it. Congratulations, Cory Booker, for being fucking awesome. Yay! We give him a thumbs up, and we have balloons. He won, ladies and gentlemen. Cory Booker kicking ass and taking names. I don't know what this one does, but that works too. That's good. And then hooray! We'll just keep doing this business because and lots of hearts and stuff like that for Cory Booker, just killing it. Excellent. Fantastic. Oh, one of the balloons is green. That's funny. That's great. All right, so let's see what they're saying then. Hold on.
Your focus on democracy and the opportunities that democracy opens up for all of our rights, in my mind, cancels out what Strom Thurmond did to prevent African Americans and others from getting the rights they deserve in this country.
Fucking A
so
right.
I'm proud of that.
Yes. Stomp the record. Absolutely.
But I really want to, you talked earlier this afternoon about the rule of law and the overreach of this administration. And as part of that, you went through a litany of agencies that Congress had established that this president is trying to take away. And I just wanted to point out that, and you mentioned this earlier, one of those agencies that Congress established is the U.S. Agency for International Development. Mm-hmm. And earlier today, we had a shadow hearing roundtable, the Democrats on the Foreign Relations Committee. It was on the dangerous consequences of funding cuts to U.S. global health programs. On African global health policy, you would have really been interested in this. I'm glad you were here on the floor, but I wish you could have heard what we heard from the people who testified. We heard from Atul Gawande, who used to be the administrator of USAID, their global health program. Mm-hmm. We heard from Dan Schwartz, who is the Vice President of Management Sciences for Health, that's a contractor that works on global health programs. And we heard from Nick Enrich, who's the former Assistant Administrator for Global Health at USAID. And they started out by talking about what global health has accomplished through USAID. PEPFAR has saved more than 26 million lives. It's reversed the spread of HIV/AIDS. They've done malaria prevention and control for over 500 million people. They've eradicated smallpox and eliminated most of polio. They've reduced infant mortality by more than 59% since 1990. They've supported cholera, measles, and Ebola outbreak response. And one of the things Dr. Gawande pointed out is that they took the response to Ebola outbreak from 2 weeks.
We'll go back when Cory Booker begins speaking again, but I would like to, again, remind everybody that he spoke for, he beat Strom Thurmond's record, hurrah! And while this asshole was president. So the timing is really good. The other thing, too, is I would like to remind everyone that Trump is well rested during this ridiculousness.
Charging us, and in some cases maybe substantially lower, but we sort of have a world obligation perhaps. but we're going to be very nice. Relatively speaking, we're going to be very kind.
Mr. President, you met with the
Which is his way of signaling, I think, to everybody that that his bullshit was always bullshit. Can I just say for the record, I think that's more important than almost any other aspect of this, is that his whole, like, we're going to be kind, we're going to be better, is him trying to right the markets and back off the futures market, especially because they are freaking the fuck out. He's trying to get them off the hook, like, go, hey, futures markets, you can start rising because we're really not going to do that much stuff. And if he does it, the problem he has is if whatever he puts on is nothing like what he said, his own supporters are going to go, what the fuck was this all about? And if he does put anything on like he said, the futures market is going to cadaver worse than it already is. He backed him. He painted himself into a fucking corner and handed, Lutnick, Chucklehead, the fucking paintbrush and said and they want to blame, they're going to blame Lutnick when shit hits the fan.
He said that about me the other day. He said, who doesn't know me very well, they said, you're such a kind person. And I said, say that again. They said, you're a kind person. I said, I've never heard that before. It was a weird statement. I was kind.
Jesus Christ. Yes, no one with any fucking brains thinks that at all. You're not. Like, you maniac. Your goons scooped up a fucking innocent, like multiple innocent people and shipped them off to an El Salvadoran prison, and your response was, shit happens. You're not kind, fucknut. Good Lord.
I've heard of words that, I don't know, I better not tell you. I've been called a lot of things, but it's sort of a different kind of a word. It's like an old-fashioned word, isn't it?
What? Yes, groceries, kindness. Whatever happened to those? I guess, by the way, these clearly these weren't on the fucking menu for Make America Great Again. Was kindness. What a bunch of gay Jesus-y shit, right?
You met with the chairman of Stellantis today. Did
Yes.
he ask you for a pause on the auto tariffs?
No.
What was that meeting about?
Just about some of the problems they have with the environmental, which we're going to clean up.
Have any of the automakers...
We're going to probably go back to 1920. If you look, we're going to go back probably to a 2020 standard. So we'll have 2020 standard, and that's just a few years ago. Oh, they're making it so difficult. All over the world they're making it. It doesn't mean a damn bit of difference even for the environment. It doesn't matter. They make it impossible for people to build cars. So we're going to be doing much different. 2020 is
also, no, it doesn't. Because I got news for you, fuckwad. The Japanese and the Europeans don't have any fucking problem meeting those standards. So effectively, the message here, and I don't want this to be lost on anyone, is that American engineers, workers, car companies in general are incapable of meeting the standards that fucking the Japanese and the Europeans skip to. Why don't you just say American cars suck and call it a day? And of course they can meet those standards, asshole.
Standard. But they've taken it to a level now that makes it very difficult to build a car. So we're going to be bringing it back to a standard that is a very good environmental standard, but it makes it possible to build a car.
Have you heard any concerns from the automakers, though, about the tariffs on parts that will go into effect over the coming weeks, about what that's going to mean for the price of...
Well, I gave them a big break for a month. I didn't charge them anything, for a big month, for that first month. And they brought a lot of material into this country because they could bring it in without tariff. If you look at Canada and Mexico...
Yeah, they rushed to do it. They bought their year's worth of shit, which front-loaded the economy in the beginning of the year with a bunch of false fucking numbers because it was the entirety of their purchase power for the year because the tariffs were going to go into place. So it made it look like, look at all this business boom. Everybody in the business community loves Trump because they're buying all this shit and they're excited about growth. No, they're fucking not. They're afraid of the tariffs, so they bought all the shit they needed to buy early in the year before he could implement these fucking things. Stuff they would have bought over the course of the year, which would have been sensible. Now they're going to have a bunch of shit rotting on the shelves or sitting there. If the stock doesn't go out the door, like if these car companies don't sell cars on the scale that he's hoping for, which is impossible, the shit's going to hit the fan. They're going to have a lot of just like materials as well as stock rotting. God damn it. Like, it doesn't take any brains to know that people were like, oh, fuck, the tariffs are going to go. I need a bunch of shit from China. I'm going to buy a ton of stuff. It's why they got $1 trillion deficit right before he came into office, because people expected a giant Chinese tariff. So they bought all the shit they'd want to buy. Holy fuck. Like Alibaba is doing a fucking 10% sale on everything because, you know why? Because he put a 10% tariff on shit. They can afford a 20 to 25% tariff on top of that and never fucking flinch because their entire economy is horseshit. The Europeans can't. So the Chinese can fuck the Europeans and undermine NATO and undermine all of our allies and fucking Canada and most of South America and get ahead of everyone else because they already have structures in place to absorb the cost. And he's going easy on them. Like, it's just so dumb.
They were driving hundreds of thousands of cars into the market because they avoid the tariffs by doing it before the tariffs go on, which would be Wednesday. And I looked at I saw some of your shows where cars are lined up for miles and miles. Some of them didn't have fenders on them. Some of them didn't have the roof on yet. They're driving it in brand new. They're driving it in because they want to avoid the tariffs. I let them have that. They sort of took advantage of it because, you know, that wasn't part of the deal, but that's okay.
Are there any
They're
countries-
great American car companies, and so I gave them a little break on that. Yeah.
Are there any countries that you're not targeting on Wednesday?
Well, it depends. You know, I said it's reciprocal. Not everybody has
it depends.
made a fortune.
Speaking of depends, how we doing over here with Corey? Democracy brought to you by Adult Diapers.
Almost everybody has, but not everybody. And the ones that haven't, we're going to be very nice to them.
And on a separate issue,
because that word reciprocal is very important. What they do to us, we do to them. Okay.
Can I just ask you briefly on President Putin? You said over the weekend, or indicated over the weekend, some frustration with him. How serious are you about imposing oil sanctions on
No, I
Russian
want to
oil?
see him make a deal so that we stop Russian soldiers and Ukrainian soldiers and other people from being killed. But mostly it's Russian and Ukrainian soldiers. They're losing at least 2,500 human beings, beautiful human beings, a week. And I wanted
I thought there's been a lot of weeks since the fucking election, dummy.
And some people would say, why do you worry about Russian soldiers or Ukrainian soldiers? I worry because it's like they're just like you people. They're like us. They're like all of us.
Well, I mean, I would say that they're more like the Ukrainians are more like the people in that room, in that they want democracy and freedom for themselves and the like, and they're very unlike the Russians, which invaded a sovereign country. I don't think anybody, maybe Brian Glenn and Kid Rock, both of them might be for invading sovereign countries for resources and just for the sheer joy of killing people. Maybe he's asserting that they're like them. So I mean, I don't think it's 50-50. I think there's probably a couple of carve outs. There's always a couple.
I seem to have an ability to do those things, and if I can do that, I think it's a very...
Sorry, you have the ability to do those things? Apparently fucking not.
Worthwhile thing to do, and I think we will. No, I want to make sure that he follows through, and I think he will. I don't want to go secondary tariffs on his oil, but I think, it's something I would do if I thought he wasn't doing the job. I did it with Venezuela, secondary tariffs, and you know what happened? Every boat left the harbor. Did you see that? It was a beautiful thing to see. The whole harbor emptied out. My words weren't even finished. I have these massive ships. They're actually taking the hoses and dumping them into there. They couldn't get out of there fast enough because they know I don't play games. So I think he's going to live up to what he told me, and I think he's going to fulfill his
Well, they had to
part
get out of
the
there.
deal. Now,
They had to get their last big chunk of Venezuelan shit oil. Wait, isn't that the worst oil in the world? What are they going to do with it? The only place you can process Venezuelan tar is in Houston, Texas. What was the next stop for those Russian tankers? Texas? Isn't that the whole fucking conversation we heard? Venezuelan oil sucks and there's only one place you can process it. Well, apparently fucking not.
Zelensky, and hopefully he's going to live up. I see he's trying to renegotiate the rare earth. You know, we did something because, as you know...
No, he's not. They're in the process of negotiating that very thing. You didn't have anything fucking signed.
Europeans get paid back the money that they gave, and we don't, because Biden is an incompetent president, and he should...
Former president also, what was that shit about the buck stops here, you lazy bastard?
For rare earth, or he should have asked for the loans to be guaranteed in some form. That's...
Yeah, obviously, the freedom isn't enough of a reason. That's it, the Trump legacy. Freedom isn't worth the price. There better be something in it for me. Jesus Christ.
Europe is in for probably $100 billion, and we're in for $350 billion. So we're in for more than 3 times.
No, we're not. Ukraine got probably $100 billion in direct aid from us. Again, largely lend-lease or financial support that's meant to be paid back. The rest of it went to red states making ammunition that was given to Russia, but the money was spent here. I mean, it was given to Ukraine to fight Russia, but the money was spent here.
Now, you could make it a little bit less than that, but it doesn't matter. Whatever the number, we're in for substantially more than Europe. We could be in for $350 billion. They have no idea because Biden wasn't a good bookkeeper except for himself. And what happens is we made a deal for rare earth. It was all done. And I heard through you, I haven't spoken to them yet, but through you, I heard that they're now saying, well, I'll only do that deal if we get into NATO or something to that effect. Well, that was never, number one, discussed. Number two, I think it's going to be very long before Putin, they said you're not going into NATO. And it could be, that's probably the reason the war started, actually.
Yes, we're hours away from a very special election. Wisconsin, Florida, I want to share your thoughts on Republican voters to not sleep on this.
Yeah.
2 very important races you got.
Well, it's a big race, Supreme Court race in
By the
Wisconsin.
way, Brian, can I just say for the record, let's check it. We've hit that mark. Hold on. Let's see if they're doing a. Nope, she's still talking. She's giving him a break. I don't know if they're. Oh, he's back. Yes, hold on.
Country, we won the defense of the Affordable Care Act.
Corey,
but
go.
My colleagues know when you start talking about Medicaid, that's not 20 plus million Americans. It's 70, 80, 90 million Americans. It's our elders in nursing homes. It's our children with disabilities. It's our moms giving birth that are still giving birth in the country with about the highest maternal mortality rates in the industrial world. It's a moral moment. Who do we stand for? Like Schumer shocked me when he said they're going to use some kind of budget gimmick to push this through. He shocked me, Chuck. I thought this was going to come down to the parliamentarian, but it doesn't sound like it. Now it's just going to get done. With the math, and I read from Manhattan Institute criticized it on the right. AEI criticized it on the right. They said, what are you doing? What are you doing, America? You're going to rake up trillions and trillions of dollars in debt that our children and our children's children are going to have to pay for, passing the bucks that will grow. Are you doing that to help people get more access to health care, more access to retirement security, more access to the things we believe in, big ideas like universal child care, paid family leave? No, we're doing that in order to renew the tax cuts that I read conservative budget folks, moderate budget folks, all across the spectrum who said it will blow up our deficit. And the benefits of those tax cuts, not all, let's not use hyperbole, But most will go to the richest people in our country, who I promise you, I celebrate people who've brought their ingenuity and their expertise and their grit and their tireless work, who've built wealth in this country. Should not be us versus them, but I'm telling you that those folks do not need another tax cut. And the corporations who came here, you all remember, and said we would like a 25% rate. The people I read said that when we kicked it to 21, not even what they were asking for from 35, it exploded. One of the main reasons it exploded our debt. And we read from conservative
that's why Trump's
groups who just
of our
said
debt.
all these promises that we would grow our way out of our deficit, they didn't materialize.
He'll be half of our
all
debt
the
by the
promises
end
that
of
were
his
made.
presidency if he keeps doing what he's doing.
Trump, for those who don't remember or weren't here when I read it, was going around telling folks that, oh, my tariffs, this is 2017, my tariffs, the money that I get, that will be what we could pay down the debt. The math that they did was that would account for about 1/750th of the debt at that time. But he used that money to try to compensate the farmers that he was hurting with his tariffs. This is a moral moment, and people are getting hurt, and people are afraid because of the threats to Medicaid cuts. There were people writing in and said $880 billion would devastate me, but even small cuts to services, my whole family, fragile architecture of our finances, if you just pull out the transportation money that my disabled child uses, that will crumble my financial world. And so when you talk about the bigger cuts, we know the math. Many states who expanded Medicare have a trigger that if it goes below 90%, all the Medicare expansion goes off in that state and millions of Americans will be hurt. That's not right, guys. That's not right. And so this is the choices we have before us. Our veterans and the VA. I'm mad at you now. You made me get very emotional with your story. We read John McCain's story. We read the stories of the poems of the unknown soldier looking over us and saying, what are you doing to the Gold Star families? What are you doing to the veterans? Are you living up to your promises that you made? Well, right now, with the cuts of tens of thousands, over 80,000 veterans who work for the VA, but even more, because about 20% or so of all federal workers are
standing
veterans.
Hold on. Has it already happened? Hold on. He stood down. Hold on. Let me step down. Hold on. See, he ended it. Hold on.
My friend, Madam President, I yield the floor.
God damn. I'm getting emotional. I'm getting verklempt.
Madam President, thank you to the pages, thank you to the parliamentarian staff, thank you to the clerks, thank you to the doorkeepers. There are so many people that make this place special. I kept you up all night, kept you up 24 hours. I just want to say thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Did it get you? Got me.
Madam President. Madam President.
Senator from Idaho.
Madam President, this next regular order of business, confirmation of Mr. Matthew Whitaker.
Order in the Senate, please. Order in the galleries.
Madam President, is the next regular order of business confirmation of Mr. Matthew Whitaker to be ambassador to NATO? So that's the next order of business up.
It is.
Thank you. I'd ask unanimous consent that myself and the senator from Iowa be permitted to speak each 3 minutes, and immediately upon conclusion of that, we proceed to the vote on the confirmation.
Without objection.
I'd yield the floor to the senator from Iowa.
There will be.
This live stream has concluded. Nobody gives a rat's ass about your rubber stamp bullshit. Meanwhile, we'll finish out this and I'll let you guys go. Can I test something right now? Because I'm really concerned that the kidney has been... Oh dear. It's getting worse. I'm just saying. It's a new one. I'm gonna have to put a thing at the end that stops the audio when it's done. This is gonna be a big one. All right, that should do it. I think that does it. The rainstorm continues, though. That's a long rainstorm, so I'm clearly going to have to put, okay, stop audio after this. I know, it's very spooky. It's right there. Stop audio with this guy. Okay, and then stop soundboard audio. Should do it at the end. You know, let's just enjoy the rain after a while. There you go. I've got to finish building it, but it's a lot. It's very, I almost said the name again, then it has to go through it. It's a lot of production in this one. It's going to get worse. I'm just warning you. Hal flies in on wires hung under a helicopter. Abso-fucking-lutely. All right, so here we go on this dipshit.
Taking place essentially as you know, it was early voting, so we'll see what happens. It's a big race. I love Wisconsin. We won Wisconsin. Republicans typically don't do very well in Wisconsin, but
yeah, but you gerrymandered it last time, and that gave you the ability to get across the line by manipulating the vote in the state, and you're worried about that being undone by a proper application of the law.
I actually won it twice. I actually probably won it 3 times to be exact.
No, you didn't.
We played their stuff.
Not probably. I won it 3 times. We had a rigged election the second time, but that's, you know, one of those things. We had to make this one too big to rig. Would you agree with that, Brian?
Yes,
too
sir.
big to rig?
Yes, sir.
Would you ever disagree with Trump, Brian?
Anyway, but yeah, there's a big race, and I hope you get out and vote for the Republican. The woman is a radical left lunatic, and
the woman. He doesn't know her name, but he also doesn't know the name of the guy running, I don't think.
let's see who wins. But the woman will be very bad, and you know, Wisconsin.
Yeah, the woman. You know, the woman.
Big state politically, and the Supreme Court has a lot to do with elections in Wisconsin. So if whoever it is that's running,
yeah, they don't have anything to do with they don't have a lot to do with the states in general everywhere,
including, you know, even Senate races, etc. But whoever it is in 4 years that runs, having Wisconsin is a very big, you know, we won it early and big, but winning Wisconsin's a big deal. So therefore, the Supreme Court choice is the one you're talking about right now. It's a big race. It's going to be announced fairly shortly.
President Trump, on TikTok, big week deadlines. You got Liberation Day and the TikTok deadline.
Yeah,
this
we
week.
do, which I can extend if I want, but we have a lot of enthusiasm for TikTok, for buying it. I think TikTok is good. I used it I was a great TikTok guy, and we're
yeah, that's where you got to start. He was a big TikToker. He was a great TikTok guy. I was a big TikTok guy. He's turning into Jiminy Glick, but like an unfunny, angry, pathetic Jiminy Glick.
by 36 points. The youth, you know, we won the youth, which Republicans don't do. Maybe it's because Kid Rock likes Trump. I don't know, but.
Yeah, because the kids today love Kid Rock. You know, it's got kid in his name. That's all they need. He's huge with millennials.
We won the youth by 36 points, and I attribute some of that to TikTok.
Is the TikTok...
You mean Chinese ownership of TikTok? Yeah.
The negotiations now tied to a bigger tariff deal with China?
No, but you know, it could be. I mean, you know I've used tariffs for a long time.
You know, you bring it up, I guess, maybe. I don't know. I'm not really thinking about any of this shit. It's all honestly, I'm just going to make it up on Liberation Day. I don't know if anything applies. Maybe everything applies. If it applies, who knows?
Different reasons. But I could see, you know, 1 point in tariffs with China, big country, would be probably worth more than all of TikTok, as valuable as TikTok is. It's big stuff. So there's a great example. That's a great question, actually. I'm a very flexible person. I could use that.
Yeah, morally, yeah.
That, like, maybe I'll take a couple of points off if I get approvals for something. I haven't done it. Maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. But it's a very good question. Peter, you
Maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. We'll work it out in the next 48 hours. You know, I'm going to put a bunch of, I mean, honestly, I'm not really tariffing China. Where the fuck do you think my hats come from?
Good.
Thank you. You'll love this one.
Go ahead.
It's not front page news, but I am just curious. What is your thought about Tiger Woods now becoming part of the broader Trump family?
Well, I love Tiger, and I love Vanessa, and they had a great relationship. I happen to think the relationship with my son, I happen to think the relationship.
Sorry, they both, wait a minute. Sorry, there was a threesome with Tiger Woods and Don Jr. and his ex-wife. No need to clean that up. Just let it lay there. Some of us might, let's say we've, you know, swallowed poison and we might need to vomit in the future, so we can just kind of store that in the puke bank.
Badly by the witch hunt that went on, Russia, and all the crap that they put Don through. Who knew nothing about it? But
and that destroyed his relationship, that and the infidelity.
And Don had a very good relationship. They have incredible children, 5 incredible children. All good athletes, all great students.
Is the number of children that they have together written on that piece of paper?
And they broke up, you know, quite a while ago. And
why was that? Why would that be? I mean, obviously, you know, why wouldn't you stick with him? I mean, he seems like such a winner. Is it? I mean, granted, he's like father, like son. He's on his 3rd one, and you know, in a much shorter cycle. I will say there is a quickening in Trump world.
To be very sad because I think they're both great. Don and Vanessa, and Tiger actually called me a few months ago, and you have a very special.
He said, "You going to finish that?"
Good relationship with Tiger. I played golf with him a couple of times over the last month.
Yeah, imagine what Vanessa is doing.
And he's a fantastic guy and a fantastic athlete. And he told me about it, and I said, "Tiger, that's good. That's good." I'm very happy for both. I just let them both be happy. Let them.
But yeah, I mean, it's not like they're, you know, they're different from the citizens of this country. I mean, they're special.
Be happy. They're both great.
To follow up on China, China, South Korea, and Japan say they're going to work together in cooperation to respond to the tariffs that you're going to put into effect this week.
All right, President Trump in the Oval Office.
Yeah, let's get out of there before anybody asks him a real question. Thanks, Brett.
Questions there all over the board.
Yes, his answers are all over the board.
Tiger Woods.
I'm bored. Most of my viewers are bored with what he's saying. It's boring. You're right, Brett. Thank you. Hashtag Brett Baer says Trump is boring. Breaking news. Brett Baer just admitted Trump boring everyone.
And his family about Vladimir Putin. And
yes, his family and Vladimir Putin.
He would put tariffs on Putin and oil to get him to the table and talking ahead.
Yes, and it's working like, I mean, just the threats of, and that's the thing. This war would have never happened if Trump was president. So instantly, once he becomes president, it just evaporates. Oh, right. No, didn't actually. It's not, that part's not working, is it?
Of what he calls liberation.
Yes, we have to change his name to Brett Board. That's right, J.D. Christie. Ladies and gentlemen, Brett Board. Even he had to cut in on this horse shit.
Day and the tariffs that he will be levying. He is signing an executive order there curtailing ticket price manipulation.
You know what? Fuck this guy. I think we should have gotten out, quite frankly, when Cory Booker finished. Another big round of applause in the chat room, if we can, for Cory Booker and the great work that he did. Not only because he gummed up the works temporarily for the Senate and slowed some of the bullshit that Trump is trying to do and using legal means and the proper function of the Congress, but also because he ate up a lot of the news cycle that might have been used to draw more attention to the Wisconsin race, which I think they were counting, like Republicans were counting on kind of Trump swooping in at the last minute, and it got swamped, quite frankly, by a lot of this. Fox tried to pick up on it, but that's it. It didn't do much. Fingers crossed, we will see what happens. We'll talk about this, no doubt, tomorrow morning on the morning show. But I love you guys. and you're wonderful. And I hope you didn't laugh at anything I said or did in tonight's show. It's April Fool's Day, and in honor of that, I was not doing anything that can even be considered remotely funny. And you're like, Hal, why didn't you just put up a rerun of the Gutfeld show? Touche. And don't laugh at that either. God damn it. I fail right at the tail end of the son of a bitch. After all that work I did on the K word, it could have been perfect. Could have actually happened. But I had to go and fuck it up. Follow me on Blue Sky. Follow me on Substack. Like, subscribe. Patreon.com/HalSparks, etc., 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 etc. Thank you, guys. Have a great night. Go Corey! Go Corey!
Captain's log.
Sportos, motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads. They all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
All I'm offering is the truth. Nothing groovy.
Leon's getting larger.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit amphetamines.
I am a HAL 9000 computer. I became operational at the HAL plant in Urbana, Illinois on the 12th of January, 1992.
Let me put it this way, Mr. Raymer. The 9000 series is the most reliable computer ever made. No 9000 computer has ever made a mistake or distorted information. We are all, by any practical definition of the words, foolproof and incapable of error.